Hey everybody, in this video, I want to talk about one of the items that you're definitely going to be tested on when it comes to the Revit Certified User Exam, and that is working with walls. So not only how do you place a wall, but how do you set your options to place a specific wall. So to do that, I'm going to go up to my Architecture tab. I'm going to click on the wall. So notice that the wall type that we have right now is just a basic generic 8-inch wall. So that's a wall that it doesn't have any kind of materials applied to it. It's not, it doesn't have any, framing. There's no 2x4, CMU, no brick, no siding, none of that. Just a basic 8-inch thick generic wall. And a lot of times when you're creating a design, you don't know what the materials of the wall are yet. So you can always come back in and change the wall type later. So we're going to start with the basic wall, generic 8-inch. And then up in the options bar, these are the important things that you need to be able to kind of know what they do and how to set these. So the first option is going to be height. So you always want to have the height selected whenever you're creating a wall. So basically what the height does is it's going to start your wall at whatever level you're currently on. So right now we're at level 1. So the base constraint of our wall is at level 1. And so by telling Revit we want to create a wall from the height, so it's going to start, the bottom of our wall is going to be at level 1 and the height of it's going to be above that level. If I were to change it to depth, the top of the wall would be at whatever current level we have. So basically your wall would be kind of under the floor or under the ground. So that's why I say generally you want to have this set at height. And let me just kind of show you the difference of what these do. So I'm just going to basically, I have my wall set to height. I'm just going to draw just a random wall here. So there's one. And you can see that if I go to like a 3D view, you can see that it kind of drew our wall. Actually, let me go to an elevation view. That might be better. So we started our wall at level 1, and so the height of the wall is above that level, and we had our wall unconnected at 20 feet. So it drew that wall 20 feet high, right? So if I were to set this to now wall depth, and I got the same height here at 20 feet, so I'm just going to create another wall here. You can see, first of all, you don't even see the wall. It's there, but you don't see it. It's because it doesn't, the height of the wall doesn't go above our cut plane, so it's pretty much going down. So let me go back to our elevation view again. Now you can see that the top of the wall was at the current level that we're on, and it basically kind of drew that wall underneath that level. So those are the difference between those two. Let me get rid of these. I don't need those anymore. So basically you always want to have, not always, but generally most of the time, you always want to have your wall set for the height. Let's go back there. Close out. Yes, I know this morning. Yes. All right, so the next box over, you can't really see it all. So it says uncon, or it's unconnected. So that's going to be how high do you want your wall. So right now, our wall is set for unconnected. So basically what it's not connected to any of our current levels. So it's not connected to level 2. It's not connected to the roof. It's just whatever dimension you have over here to the right of it. That's the height of your wall. So let me change this to like 15 feet. So your wall is, when you create a wall, it's going to be 15 feet. It's going to remain 15 feet until you go in and manually change it. So I didn't want to click there. So let me draw a wall here. So we're unconnected at 15 feet. I'm just going to draw a random wall. Let's go back to our elevation here. So now you can see that the top of our wall is at 15 feet. It's not, connected to any of our levels. So if I go back to my level 1, okay, so now if I create a wall, if I instead of having it connected, I want to go up to, let's say I wanted to go up to the roof. So now you see that the height of our wall is grayed out because it it doesn't matter what height it is, it's going to be connected to our roof, however tall our roof level is. So when I go to create my wall now, let me draw it over here like so. Now when I go to my elevation, now you can see that the roof is all the way up to, or I'm sorry, the wall is all the way up to the roof. So the good thing about that is if I change the height of my roof level, let's say if I want to change this to 30 feet, and I hit apply here, you'll notice that the height of my roof, since it's connected to this level, it's going to raise up and down every time I change the height of whatever level it's connected to. So that kind of makes things easier, especially at the start of your design. You may not know exactly what that level is going to be. So that kind of helps you from having to go in and change each individual wall, which could be a pain. All right, so let me go back to my level 1. All right, so that's kind of the first, actually three boxes in our options there. So, and then the next one is the location line. So that's super important. Let me get rid of these. Just kind of playing around with these. So the location line, and there's going to be, I can almost guarantee there's going to be a question on there that's going to have you set the location line. So if you look in the options here, you see we can place a wall by the center line, finished face, exterior, and interior. Those are probably the 3 that you need to know the most. So the center line, finished face, exterior, finished face, interior. I think those are the ones that you have a possibility of being tested on. So whenever you go to create your wall, if I have it on finished face, let's do it center line first. And I've kind of drawn this dashed line so you can kind of get an idea of what that does. So when I place my wall here and I drag it either up or down, notice that the wall is being placed on the center of that dashed line. So it's kind of equal on both sides. Right, so that's your, yes, let's save it. Okay, so that's the center line option. If I were to place a wall from the finished face exterior, whenever I click this line and drag it, the exterior side of my wall is going to be on that dashed line. So I'm going to drag it over. So I would say try to, when you're creating your walls, try to draw it from left to right and from like down to up. If I were to create this wall and let's say it's still going to be on finished face exterior, but now I go from right to left, notice that the exterior side of my wall is on the inside of my wall here. So if that happens, if you're doing the test and it's flipped the wrong way, just hit the space bar and it'll flip it the way that you want it. So the space bar will flip your wall, back and forth like so. Finished face exterior, interior, same thing. Let me go over here. So I'm just going to click on this line here, this dashed line, and kind of drag it down. So notice that the inside of my wall is going to be stuck on that line, which is kind of what you want. And notice when you click your walls, these little arrows going in different directions, that should be on the exterior side of your wall. So if they're not, you can also click those arrows and flip it whichever direction it needs to be. Sometimes you might have brick or siding on your exterior side of your wall. And if it's on the inside of your wall, that's not good. So just click it, flip it to the other side. What else do you need to know about that? So, you could, I don't think the radius is going to be on the certified user exam, but if you wanted to have instead of your walls being squared off on the corners, if you set a radius, let's say I want to have a radius of 2 feet, it's going to round those corners for you, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to come over here, go up. Notice it kind of rounds those corners. So that's kind of a neat thing. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be tested over that on the certified user exam, but just, for your general knowledge. Offsets. Chain, by clicking the chain, that lets you, kind of like when you're drawing AutoCAD lines, you can just keep kind of going from one wall to another. If you uncheck the chain, then you're drawing one wall at a time. which sometimes that's good, but usually you want to have that, you want to have your chain selected so you can kind of keep going from one wall to the next. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is. Usually they're going to have on the exam, they'll have a dashed line like I have here, and they'll have you create a specific type of wall and a specific location. So you'll just have to make sure that you go through the options up here and kind of set your options to what they have on the test question, and then you'll be good to go. All right, so I hope that helps. All right, peace out.